on our feet today. And we'll even start looking at our feet. What I would like to do is just open up our toes really wide, as we do with our hands, and see mat in between each of our little toes. And then starting at our pinky toes, just begin to press each little digit down into our mats. So we have nice wide toes there, pressing into the heels. And then we're going to lift in our arches just a little bit. And then begin to grow nice and tall. We barely soften those knees, no locking out of those knees, activating the thighs, the glutes, the core as we breathe into our bellies. We lift our hearts, we pull those shoulders back and down, reaching our fingers down toward the floor, and then lifting from the top of our head up to the sky. Finding our mountain pose here. And we'll close our eyes, breathing in and out deeply all the way down into our bellies. Turning our attention inward as we move around, constantly checking to see how we're feeling, how every pose affects us, how those micro adjustments can change how we feel. And then opening up our eyes, inhaling the hands up to the sky, pulling the shoulders back and down, breathing into that belly, making ourselves nice and tall. Let's exhale, little tiny back bend here, just pulling those shoulders back, lifting the heart, hips coming forward. And then inhaling back up to the top, softening the knees, and then slowly exhaling down into a forward fold. Keeping those knees bent, just rounding in the back. And then slowly we'll inhale, roll our way up. Hands come up high. And then again, exhale, back bend, little back bend here. And then inhale up. Exhale, softening the knees, melting our way down into that forward fold. If you'd like, we can even kind of like pedal our legs a little bit, wiggle our tail. And then slowly we'll roll our way up. Good. Hands come up to the sky. We can keep them here, or we can even clasp them together, pulling those shoulders away from the ears. Inhale here, nice and tall, and then exhale. We'll go over to one side. And then inhale back up. And then exhale over to the other side. Inhaling up. And now exhale down to the side. And then inhale up. Exhale over to the side. Inhale up. Let's do that one more time, each side. Over to the other side, last time. Good. Back up to the top. We can release those hands, soften the knees, and we'll fold forward again, rounding in the back. The more we bend in those knees, the more we can open up in that low back, rounding, almost like we're in a child's pose. And now let's lengthen in those legs. Hands will come to the shins. Gaze will come forward for a long half lift. Long legs, half lift. Good. And then exhale, let's fold forward. Maybe we keep our legs a little bit longer this time as we fold. Let's do that again. Inhale to a flat back, long legs. Exhale, let's fold forward. Good. Bending the knees. Inhale, rolling our way up. Nice and tall. Hands come up over our head. Again, exhale, little back bend here. And then inhale, coming up to the top. Hands come down to our hearts, pressing into our palms. Let's step back with our left foot opening up nice and wide. Or if it's easier to step back with your right foot, we're opening up to the sides, pointing our toes to the corners of our mats. Elbows come to our ribs here, opening that chest. Inhale, nice and high. And then exhale, moonflowers, elbows to our ribs, sitting down into that wide squat. Good. Inhale up. And exhale down. Inhaling up. And exhaling down. Moving with our breath, with purpose and intention. Good. Exhaling down. Inhaling, lifting high. And now let's go into our sunflowers, big wide circles with our arms, bending at the knees and then hinging at the hips so that we can gather up those sunflowers. Inhale, lifting even with those hands, lifting high. Exhaling, lowering down, using our entire body as a big team to help lift and lower. Good. Exhaling down. Good. Inhaling one more time. And now exhale. Elbows come back to our ribs, sitting down into that squat. Palms will point up to the sky for sun pose. Beautiful. Good. Now let's bring those hands to our thighs. Nice low squat here. Little shoulder dips. Exhale. Right shoulder comes down, pressing into that right thigh, opening up. And then back to the center on the inhale. Exhale, lowering down with that left shoulder. And back up. And exhaling down, right shoulder. Inhaling center. Exhaling, lowering down to that left shoulder. Good. Inhale center. One more time, each side. Exhaling down. Back to the center. Last one. Exhaling. Lowering that left shoulder. Back up to the center. Inhale. Nice and high. Good. Let's point those toes out in front of us. Exhale. Wide-legged forward fold. Weight comes into our toes. Bringing those hips over our ankles. Good. Bending the knees. Inhale. Nice and high. Good. Hands come together at our hearts, pointing toward the front of our mat. Stepping forward. Inhale. Nice and high. Exhale. Let's sit down into our chair. Sitting in that chair. Big circles with the arms. Breathing into our tummies. And inhaling up. And exhaling down. Inhaling up. Exhaling down, doing the best we can get in those shoulders, in that core, nice and strong. Good, strong low back. Inhaling up. One more time. Exhaling down into our chair. Let's hold our chair. Beautiful. Let's bring those arms back behind us for Eddie the Eagle. And back up to the top. Good. And now let's fold forward from here. Good. Inhale to a flat back. Good. Exhaling, folding. Hands come down to the mat. Let's step back, find our downward facing dog. Pedal our legs if we need. Pressing into our hands, all 10 of our fingers. And then lengthening in that spine, spiraling those arms, pulling the shoulders back away from the wrists, lifting the hips up toward the sky. And then begin to press those heels down toward our mats. Good. Let's inhale forward into a plank. Plank can be on our toes or on our knees, depending on how we're feeling right now. Good, strong plank. Exhale, shoulders come forward. Elbows go back as we lower ourselves down to our tummies, all the way down to our tummies. Soften the feet. Hands are underneath of our shoulders. Let's pull those shoulders back and then begin to lift the heart into baby cobra. Beautiful. Exhale, back down. Take a breath. Good. Let's do baby cobra again. Inhale, scooping that chest forward and then up. And exhaling down, tucking the toes behind us, pressing into those palms. Get those quads a working and then pushing back for downward facing dog. Beautiful. Let's lift up our right leg. Pressing that heel back behind us, lengthening from our fingertips all the way back to that heel. Good. And now let's kick ourselves in the bum. Open our hip up to the right. Good. And now let's bring that knee in toward our chest and we'll take it all the way across to touch that left elbow. And then back to our fire hydrant, opening up the hip to the right. And now coming forward, twisting around, touching that left elbow. Let's do that one more time. Lifting, opening. And then bringing that buddy in, sliding on my mat all the way there. Good. Back to our three-legged dog. And then kicking ourselves in the butt, getting that knee into our chest, and we'll step forward in between our hands for a lunge. Wiggle into that lunge. Proud chests. Long leg back behind us, strong leg in the front. Inhale, high lunge. Good. And then exhale, slowly lower the hands back down. Barely touch our mat. Good. And then inhale back up. Let's do that one more time. Exhale, slowly lowering those hands down. So we're challenging that core, our legs. Inhale up. And now exhale, let's turn to the right. Taking that right hand back behind us. Left hand comes forward. Good. Inhaling, high lunge. Exhale, let's bring those hands down to the mat. They can rest on our mat this time. Good, stepping back, downward facing dog. Inhale forward into a plank. Exhale, we lower down. Inhale, we can do baby cobra or we can come up to upward facing dog. Good, tuck those toes, lift the hips, press back, downward facing dog. Let's lift up that left leg, press it back behind us, three-legged dog. We want to try and pull that hip down so that both of our hips are level with each other. Good, and now let's open up the hip to the left. Kick ourselves in the bum. Little hip opener, little spinal twist here. Good, and now let's bring that knee into our chest. And try and touch that right elbow. Good, and then coming all the way back, opening up the hip to the left. Good, knee comes in, and we keep that spiral going in that spine. Good, one more time. Back behind us. And bringing that knee in. Good. And now back to three-legged dog. Beautiful job. Let's bring that knee into our chest and step forward into our lunge on this side. Settle it in. Wiggle our way around. Once we have our lunge, let's lift those hands up. Good. Feel that strong core. Our legs are working real hard. Good. Exhale. Hands come down, barely touch. And then slowly inhale up. Good. Exhale, we lower down. Barely touch. And then inhale up. Good. Third time is a charm. Exhale, we lower down. Inhale, we come up. And now let's turn to the left. Opening up that left hand behind us. Right hand is out in front of us. Good, and back up to the top. Beautiful job. Exhale, hands come down. They can rest on our mats. Into our lunge. Let's step back, downward facing dog. Good, let's inhale forward. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. We'll tuck those toes. Lift the hips, press back, downward facing dog. Let's take a couple of breaths here in down dog. Good. And now let's walk the hands backwards toward those feet. And find a forward fold. Good. Inhale to a flat back. Hands can come to our shins or our thighs. Exhale, let's fold maybe a little bit further. Good. Gently bending those knees, rolling our way up to the top. Good. Exhale. Hands come down to our sides, forward Tadasana. Let's take a breath here. Assess how we're doing. Beautiful. Let's inhale, lift our hands up high. Good. Hands can stay way up high. We can press them together again. We're going to begin to lift up that right foot up off of the ground. Then we're going to take a step about halfway. Shift the weight from our left foot to our right, pressing nice and tight into that right foot so we can come up into warrior three. Beautiful. And now slowly we'll lift our chest, and this left foot is just going to come back down to the mat for warrior one. Bending that right knee, pulling the left hip forward, pressing into that left heel, tucking the tail, lifting the heart. Good. Now let's bring those hands either to the heart or to the hips. We'll straighten that right leg and then hinge at the hips. Chests are coming forward as we work our way down into pyramid. Hands can start at the thigh. After a breath or two, maybe we walk it down a little bit further, bypassing the knee and coming down to the shin. Or if we have a block where we can hold on to the wall or furniture next to us. Beautiful. Let's bend that right knee again. Come back up to warrior one. Brilliant. Bend in that right knee, lengthen in the left, pull that left hip forward. Beautiful. Now let's lean forward with those hands again. Begin to shift the weight. We'll come back up to warrior three. Good. And now let's challenge ourselves. Let's lower that right hand down toward our mats or to a block. Left hand comes up to the sky. Open ourselves up to the left for half moon. Very good. Softening that right knee. Left hand comes down to the mat. Left leg comes down to the mat. We'll step back, downward facing dog. Pedal it out. Whew. Beautiful job. Good. Let's walk those hands backwards. Find our fold again. Inhale to our flat back. Exhale, another little fold. And then soften the knees, roll our way up to the sky with those hands. And again, they can come together if you like, or they can just reach for the sky. Good. Weight goes into that right foot so that we can lift up the left knee. Good. Halfway step with that left foot, shifting the weight and coming up into warrior three on this side. Moving as slowly as we need to achieve whatever pose we're at here. If warrior three is difficult, we can always come to a 3-point balance. Begin to check our balance with our fingertips. Good. Begin to lift that chest. We'll lower that right foot back down to the mat for warrior one. Bending the left knee, pulling that right hip forward. And then keeping that tail tucked so that we can open up that low back. Beautiful. And then hands can come to our hearts or to our hips. We'll lengthen in that left leg, hinging at the hips. Hands can come to the thighs or to the shin. For pyramid, chests are working forward, past our toes. Keep that flat back and get the stretch in our hamstrings and in our glutes, as opposed to just rounding in the spine. Breathing deeply. Good, and then gently we'll bend that right knee again, or left knee again. Inhale, hands come up high. See how we're doing, shifting that weight forward, reaching with the hands back to our warrior three. And then if we would like that challenge of half moon, lowering that left hand down to the mat, right hand comes up. Actively reaching with that right foot back behind us, lifting the ribs, lengthening in that neck. And now let's slowly lower the right hand. Lower that right leg. Step back, downward facing dog. Pedal it out if we need. Inhale forward into a plank. Exhale, we lower down. Good, all the way down to our tummy. We can release those feet, and then the shoulders will come over the elbows instead of the hands here, pressing into the forearms and into our fingers, and then relaxing in our lower half. Doing our best not to clench or flex in the glutes as we inhale, scooping our way up into Sphinx. And then exhale, let's lower back down. Beautiful. Take a breath here. And even give ourselves a bit of a wiggle. And then hands will come underneath of our shoulders. We'll tuck those toes, get those thighs are working, and we'll press back for downward facing dog. Use this down dog to help decompress that spine. Good, and now let's lift up the right leg. Three-legged dog. Good, again, inhale, bring the knee into the chest, hover in plank. Good, exhale, press back, three-legged dog. Good, inhale, bringing it forward. And then exhale, pressing back. Now let's kick ourselves in the bum again. Open up that knee to the right. And we're going to flip our dog. So from here, all of the weight is going to stay in our left hand, our left foot, right hand. We'll lift and we'll turn to look at the sky for wild thing. That was the easy part. Now we have to come back from whence we came, beginning to press into that left foot. All the way back to our three-legged dog. Beautiful job. Let's bring that knee into our chest again. And we'll place it behind the right wrist for pigeon. Letting that left leg nice and long and soft behind us. But still pulling that hip forward. Up to you. After a few breaths, if we would like, we can walk those hands forward and come down onto our elbows, maybe eventually down into a full fold, if that's where we're at today. Remember, it's not always about ability of where we're at today. Maybe it's just desire. I don't feel like folding today. Don't fold. We can get plenty out of modifications. Stay here for another 2 breaths. Good. And whether we're folded or we're not, what we're going to do is we're going to keep our hips where they are and we're going to walk those hands around to the left, reaching across the body with that right arm. And then slowly back to the center. We'll find our way back up onto our hands if we are not already there. We'll bend that left knee, bring the foot in towards our bum. We'll reach back with that left hand. See if we can find the toes or the ankle. We'll just bring that buddy in towards us again, pulling that hip forward. Chest is working toward the front of our mat as well. Brilliant. Exhaling. Let's release that left leg. Both hands find the mat. We'll tuck the toes behind us, pressing into the toes, into our hands, stepping back, downward facing dog. Pedal it out from here. Find some good length in that spine. Good. Lifting up the left leg back behind us, 3-legged dog. Good. Bringing that knee into our chest, hovering in plank, and exhaling it back, 3-legged dog. Inhaling it forward. Exhaling back. Let's open up to the side. Kick ourselves in the bum. And then when we're ready, begin to shift the weight. I got to scoot over. Shift the weight into that right hand, right foot. And flip our dog. Lifting the hips up high. Opening the chest up to the sky. And then again, begin to shift that weight back into the right hand, right foot. Placing that left hand back down, 3-legged dog here. Beautiful job. And then inhale, let's bring the knee into our chest and we'll set ourselves up for pigeon on this side. We've been working really hard. We deserve these pigeons. It's time to just breathe. Let gravity help us out. Do a couple more breaths here. And whether we're on our hands, elbows, or folded forward, begin to walk those hands over to the right, reaching across the body with that left arm, but still keeping the hips pointed toward the top of our mat. And then slowly we'll come back to the center. We'll help ourselves up onto our hands. Nice long back here. And then when we're ready, we'll bend that right leg. We'll reach back with the right hand. Try and gather up those toes and bring them in towards our butt a little bit further. Excellent. Let's release that foot and tuck the toes back behind us. Press into the hands and then come back to our downward facing dog. Paddle it out. Good. And then slowly let's walk our feet forward into a forward fold from here. And now let's play a little bit. We can play with our forward fold by using our mat. We can roll it up towards us a little bit here. Make a bit of a step for us. And we can place the ball of our foot onto our mat a little bit. So now we're raising up our toes into a little bit more of a flexed position. And now as we fold, we're going to get into those calves a little bit better. And the beauty is we can roll this mat up as little or as much as we would like. And then as we fold, we can do our long back half lift here. And then as we fold and exhale, maybe we get a little bit deeper into the hamstrings, into the calves, backs of the ankles. You can bend the knees and then straighten them again. We can increase by rolling up that mat a little bit further if we would like. Just another little thing that we can do to help our forward folds. Good. And then we can release our mat. And then we'll slowly just bend our knees. We're not even going into a malasana squat. We're just going to roll up into a little ball. Hands can come back behind us as we help ourselves down onto our butts and then all the way back onto our backs. Good. Let's keep those knees bended. Our arms will come down. Our head will come down to the ground. And we'll open ourselves up on the top half into a big T, feeling our whole spine pressing into our mat. Breathing into our bellies. Let's exhale. Bring those knees over to the right. Little twist here. We'll stay here for 2 or 3 breaths. Good. And now let's lengthen those legs down below us, just hovering them over the ground. And then we'll turn and bring the knees over to the left into our little twist on this side. And again, 2 or 3-ish breaths, depending how deep your breaths are. Good. And then again, lengthening those legs, just barely hovering over the ground. And then over to that first side again. Couple 3 breaths. And lengthening over to the other side. Few breaths here. Let's do 1 more to each side. When we're ready, coming around 1 more time. Good. And now let's bring those knees back to the center. Give them a hug, nice and tight. Good. Exhale, place the feet down onto the floor. Knees are bent. Heels are as close to our butts as we can get them. Let's walk those shoulders underneath of us. Palms can point up to the sky by our hips. And then begin to roll that pelvis so that we begin to lift the hips up off of the ground. Continue to press into those feet, lifting the hips, coming up into our bridge. Continue to walk those shoulders underneath of us, lifting the heart, lifting the hips, and then squeezing those legs toward each other. Hands going to stay to our sides here, or if we would like, we can clasp them together behind us into a bit of a chest expansion as we do our bridge. Keep lifting. Let's do 1 more big breath here. And then releasing the hands, starting at the top of our spine, lowering every vertebra down to our mat. Knees can come into our chest. Inhale, let's lift those legs nice and high. Hands can come behind the calves or behind the hamstrings. And we'll just gently encourage them to come forward towards us. Good. And then releasing the legs just up to the sky. Hands can come up to the sky. Let's wiggle our fingers and our toes. Roll around in our ankles and our wrists for Krakalasana. Point and flex. Pressing our whole spine into our mats, reaching with our fingers, reaching with our feet, our toes. Exhale, slowly. Let's lower those hands and feet down to our mat. Once we get there, let's give ourselves one more big, long stretch here. And then exhale, releasing everything down to our mats. Closing our eyes. Soften in the jaw. Let the whole face just relax. Let that expression melt away. And take the next couple, 3 breaths to give ourselves permission to just be still. Allow the mind to wander. Let the thoughts come in and then let them leave. We begin to deepen our breath. Bring a little movement into our body. Wiggle our fingers and our toes. Move our head from side to side as we slowly come back into our space. Listen and give our body what it needs right now. A little wiggle, a little twist. And then when we're ready, we'll bring those knees into our chest. We'll roll over onto our side. And we'll come up to a comfortable seated position once again. We'll bring our hands together at our hearts. We'll give ourselves thanks for all of the gifts that we just gave us. I am so happy and grateful that you joined me today. Gave yourself this time to connect with your body, to get a little bit taller, get a little bit stronger, find a little balance and peace. I hope that you feel even just a little tiny bit better than when you started. I wish you a very, very happy day, a great rest of your week. The light and the divine in me recognizes and respects the light and the divine in each of you. And when we are together, whether physically or virtually, we are one. Namaste.